Buckle up and get ready for a roller coaster ride of some tasteless humor, lots of heart, and radical truth with two scrappy chicks. Because adulting is hard, but we are thinking that laughing about it is just so much easier.
And
All
we're back
right, here we are again.
after I had technical difficulties once again.
I know. We got to do something about that. All
I
right.
know.
So, as I was saying in the last one, a shame on drivers that cut through parking lots and don't go the right way up and down the aisles. And we're not talking at a regular speed, like an accelerated speed. And when I worked at Hartford and I took auto claims, a lot of these claims were just stupid and it was parking lots. And I don't like to pull in spaces if I don't have to. I like to pull forward. So when I leave, I can pull forward because it never fails when I start to back out. Here comes somebody zooming up the aisle, and then you got to pull back in. Um, yeah, it's very frustrating. So, yeah, be not accusing everybody of doing that, but be more mindful. And I mean, I don't know. Should there parking lots start put signs up? You know, go
I
this
don't think
way.
it would make a difference.
Go
And I
that way.
tried the pulling through thing too because of the frustration of backing out. And I just feel like it's the same situation. I just pull in normally and I back out.
Yeah.
So just people are people. And have you noticed that it is definitely, I think, more challenging when you're parked closer to the store as opposed to if you're parked a little bit ways down.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah. People should just, take your time. Like, better to be late in this life than early for the next. So take your
Right?
time and don't harm anybody else because, there's no do overs, you got to be careful. So, yes, change. Be careful, everybody.
Yes. So, a story came across our feed. This pastor was after what, 20 something years being charged that with his wife's murder, and I think it um was it 2006? Yeah. And he was a youth pastor and he did up his life insurance policy on his wife before she died, and he got that because they couldn't prove back then that he was responsible. And he preyed on the youth, um, and I think he married one of them because didn't he say to her that his in order to be together, his wife would need to be dead?
Yep, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Well, and then we talked about this a little bit too, and I did not watch the whole thing. So, my apologies that I'm not up to snuff on this one. I know the young girl that he was having relations with, because obviously, like you said, he was a predator. He was preying on her. When he said he couldn't be with her until, unless his wife was dead, was no longer with us. I know that she did tell the authorities something, and then I think there was a pastor at a church that he worked at that also said something.
Yes.
But what was it that really got them though? Do you remember what the determining factor was that they could actually charge him?
I think it was finally them two, um, because they arrested him. And so this happened in Utah. So it said his former church boss tipped off investigators that it was not an accident. And somehow they gathered up enough evidence to arrest him and they were going to extradite him back to Utah. And they found him in his jail cell and he had committed suicide. And there's a lot of people pissed off. Like, how did this happen? Like Bernadette is who his wife was, and her family was like, they don't feel like they got the justice after all these years.
Right. Well, and how long was he in jail before he did that? Do you know?
Three
I mean, was he
days?
actually convicted?
He was in jail 3 days after he was
Okay.
charged with the murder,
Okay.
and he died in custody.
Ah, now I can see why her family is so upset. He didn't even have to go through the whole process.
No, no, because he was being going to be extradited, and he beat them to it. Um,
Oh, and have you been keeping up to date with the civil trial with Reed and against the McAlberts, or the McAlberts against Karen?
oh, but you know what? Hold on. Before we move on from
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
there's a different um news site saying that besides him being charged, they charged a Vegas yoga instructor, and he was in custody. So he died while in custody before he got extradited. Um wait, was he
It just
then?
seems to take such an exorbitant amount of time to bring these people to justice. Like, I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, so was he a did he go from being a pastor to being a yoga instructor? Oh
Yes.
yeah. So he was a former youth pastor, and then he was living in Vegas and he was a yoga instructor. And he was 49 years old. And so, yeah, I feel bad for the family that they won't get their justice. Okay, so what were you talking about? Was this having to do with Karen Reed?
Yeah, with the civil, the wrongful death and the defamation cases.
Yeah.
If you've been watching at all, the Judge Gilday, he is really a good and fair judge. This is such a refreshing thing to see because the judge is not allowing all these shenanigans to happen like Colin Albert. I think you may have known that he enlisted, and then was basically, his attorneys were basically saying that he was not going to be available to be deposed until the fall because he had to go through these classes, then he had to go through boot, and then he had to go through all these things. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that's true, but he had already been subpoenaed. But long story short, the judge just issued an order because they were going back and forth on the information because they're still going through discovery, and they're really trying to get this discovery done, I think, by the end of August. And of course, his attorneys, when I say his, I mean Colin Albert, they were saying that, they wanted to use search terms to narrow the scope of what they were going to be required to provide to Karen's defense team. Well, Judge Gilday basically said you have to give them everything that's pertaining to the potential cover up. Now, he didn't say cover up. I'm paraphrasing. You'll have to look at the actual court order. Essentially, having to do with what Karen is actually saying, the plan against her to make her look like, she did it, as opposed to a third party. So Colin Albert has to give up 3.5 years of texts and emails, any communications. That's huge. And then Proctor was being deposed. Did you hear that he had a massive panic attack?
No.
And they had to they finally got him in because him too was, claiming all kinds of different things because, he couldn't be deposed for one reason or another. And the judge basically put his foot down and said the same thing. No, he's going to be deposed. He's going to be deposed soon. Got him in last week. And during his deposition, he had supposedly a very massive panic attack. And they couldn't finish their deposition of him. So it looks like their plan is failing in terms of them trying to again pin it on the girl, as Alan Jackson says, in a glorious fashion. Because and I wonder, and I said this in the beginning with the civil case, when the O'Keefes had filed the wrongful death against Karen, I thought, you know what, they have to go through all this discovery. It's going to expose so many people and so many things. Wouldn't that be interesting if that was the family's way of getting all this information? Because maybe they've been suspicious this whole time. We don't know. They're going against powerful people too. Maybe they were a little concerned that they were not getting the information that they needed, and this was a way for them to go about doing that while still supporting the other people. You know what I mean? That were basically accusing her to say that she did it. I think that would be a really good plan, because this discovery thing is blowing the lid off of everything. So I'm going to keep everybody posted on that, because I'm keeping posted on it to see when they're going to make Colin come back and be deposed, and then his attorneys have to provide all this information, because they have really been dragging their heels and fighting this every step of the way. And I really feel like Karen is just going to be vindicated in just grand fashion, and I can't wait. I love to see when people, they have these things happen to them within the legal system, which we obviously know was wrong. And then to be finally vindicated. And if she hadn't had these attorneys, she would not have been able to do what she's doing, which was basically save herself and then bring about this information that's coming out regarding these other people and their potential involvement. Because we really don't know, do we? Who was involved, who's not involved, who's potentially involved in a cover-up plan, who's not involved. So I think it's all going to come out, because just like with Proctor's texts, unfortunately, every single thing that we put on text on our phones and everything, it can and will be used against you.
Yeah, right? Why is it taking so long? Why does it feel like this is like the longest um ongoing for the civil case?
Right, and this is why the judges has had to literally make an order, because they have been fighting this tooth and nail since like March, Ginger. This has been going on for months and months, because they can't, they won't, there's this reason, there's that reason. I mean, they are using every single thing that they can do to postpone, to wiggle around, get out of. And this judge is he's great. He's just like very calm, very by the book, very fair, very honest. And you can really tell that he's just done. He's just really tired of the games. And he's like, you're going to produce these people, they're going to be deposed, and you're going to produce all this information. That's all there is to it. And it's just, look how long it's been. It's been over 4 years. I cannot imagine Karen's life. And I just feel like, I do feel terrible for her that this has happened. I mean, she literally lost everything. And with that being said, look at all the corruption that this has exposed, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, that, like, as they say, the dominoes are falling. This information is coming out, and yeah, if you don't want it to come out someday in court, don't put it in a text. Don't put it in an email.
Yeah.
Start talking in person.
Huff around and find out.
Right. Well, and I think that was the issue too, is that it's not as though individuals such as Proctor, it's not as though his behavior and his temperament and the things that he was saying and doing were a secret. It wasn't. From what they're showing is that the superiors knew about the things that he was doing and saying, especially when they were communicating to each other through the communication systems within law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? Between their superiors, between each other. It's not good. Like, they're going to have so many cases that are being called into question, like, oh gosh, what is her name? Her last name is Scarpino. I'm watching on Netflix. I was going to talk about this too. She's amazing. Her last name, I think her last name is Scarpino, and it's called Trial 4, about this man that was wrongfully convicted and how she's defended him. And I think he's out now because, again, he was wrongfully convicted. They picked a guy. They said, "Yep, you're the one that did it," but he definitely was not the one that did it. And they just ruin lives. But I think with this particular case, with Karen's case, they it's going to have that ripple effect where it's going to affect so many other cases. I'm just so curious to see how that's all going to, flesh out, I guess, because I think so many cases are affected because of a lot of the prejudice and racism and sexism and all kinds of isms.
Yes.
That's why you don't ever want to get involved with the legal system because I just don't have a lot of faith in it. I mean, and that's the thing. I think there are a lot of good people, just like in the medical system. There are so many good people, but it's the bad ones that make it so dangerous and so questionable and unreliable. In my personal, humble, unprofessional opinion.
Okay. All right, so we'll keep up on that, because you are a bad girl. I'm just kidding. Um, so what else we want to talk about? Well, if you're a man, I'm sorry, but maybe you should listen to it, especially if you're married, have a girlfriend or fiance. Um, we've been talking about the ups and downs of being, well, I am, do we, let me think. Is it post menopause? Is that what we call it? Because it's been years.
Yeah, we're done. Right, we're past menopause. We're
Yeah.
postmenopausal at this point. Yes.
And I run hot, so apparently, I mean, think about it. What do men get? They get to live their life, right? And meanwhile, and if you watched Your Friends and Neighbors, Mel was going through it hot, like she changed her sheets in the middle of the night, and just the rage Mel had.
Yeah.
And um, I mean, I wouldn't say I have the rage like Mel did, like the way she went and yelled at the neighbors about the dog pooping on her lawn. Did
Well,
have
I
a
think and I understand that rage and that frustration because I think initially I think she did try to handle it really well. And then she didn't. So,
Mhm.
hormones, right?
Yeah. And then I mean, well, you're calling me Mount St. Ginger, right?
Yeah, because you're getting ready to blow. You're
Yeah.
getting to that. Well, and I think everybody gets to that point. Some people, me would be sooner because I have a,
Hmm.
a much lower threshold, I think.
Yeah.
And some people have a much higher threshold, but I do feel like there's rumblings. I think the big one's about to happen.
Well, and I experienced the look from you when I had your, sorry, when I had your cat run across your chest. Remember?
I'm so glad that my misfortune brings you so much joy.
I didn't know that was going to happen. That was that Capelli?
Yeah. And you'll be happy to know they still do that. Only it's usually in the middle of the night, and they're running across me because they're like, doing a loop de loop around the bedroom. Oh
Why
God.
did they do
Oh yeah.
that?
They get the zoomies. They chase each other. they're bored.
Um,
And then at night they're awake, right? Because they're nocturnal. So then they're like chasing each
yeah,
other around the room. Nuts.
Scrappy Coco, she did not do that. She came in and she laid on top of my head on my pillow. So I'm that meow. I do anything to hear that meow. Oh, but Jess, I still am sorry that happened, but I'm sorry I laugh. I won't do it again with
Sure.
the ones you have now, since they do a good job doing it themselves. They're so nutty. Well,
Well,
aren't cats supposed to be nocturnal anyway? Like
they
sleep
are.
during the day, crazy at night?
Yeah, they are. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. But getting back to
Mount St. Ginger. Go ahead.
yeah. Um, I know I have the brain fog because my uh long-term memory, phenomenal. My short-term memory, not as much. And no, I'm not concerned of if there's something, really major going on because this is common with the brain fog. And sometimes I just have to think a little bit harder. Like I walk in a room for something and I'm like, okay, what am I doing in here? And then I had to have to think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Or I'll be like, oh my God, I can't find my phone. And it's like either within the vicinity of me or in my hand, or my glasses are on top of my head. There was one time I had two sets of glasses on top of my head.
Well, and part of that, I mean, obviously it's hormones, right? Don't
Hmm.
you also feel like because we're just at that stage, we've just been through so much, we just have more overload in our brains than everybody else, right?
Hmm.
And maybe like the RAM on a computer, maybe our RAM is a little bit slower because of the hormones or whatever, and just because we're just so overloaded. But now I want you to explain
Hmm.
because I think you're going to talk about the situation with men and and women and stuff like that.
Yes.
Men do kind of go through like a low T thing,
Yes.
like low testosterone, and they get crankier and stuff like that. But for them, they may have a dip, but for women, ours is completely like we have several hormones that kind of just like our body is done and we go into a totally different new phase.
Like a
And I think,
shutdown.
yeah, but I feel like I'm so much clearer with how I see the world and how I see people and what I tolerate.
Hmm.
I think that's why I'm a little quicker now to be like, this is where you go and no farther.
Hmm.
And for you, and again, this is all personality too, right?
Hmm.
Because I think you're definitely a little more patient than I am. And, let's talk about the reasons why people feel the need to push when you should not be poking the bear at this point in our lives. Don't
Yeah.
poke the bear because
Yes,
we see it.
um, especially the pre and the post. The pre, so the pre and the during and the post menopausal woman, yeah, do not. And mine started in 2015, after my mom died. That's when this started. And I would go um closer to after COVID. I would go almost a year and not have a cycle. And then I would be like at the 10-month, and there it is. I'm like, are you kidding? And then it had to start all over again. And it did it like three times. And finally, I'm like, and you know what's funny? If I didn't say anything about it, months would go by. And the minute I talked about how I didn't have a period for 10 months, guess what came? So I was freaking like manifesting it to happen. So I hope this doesn't bring it back. I've had it long
No,
enough. I was freaking 12 years old. So yeah,
right?
like
I
like I
know.
said, men didn't don't have to deal with this,
No.
the monthly um cramps, the
And the whole
pads or
cycle.
yeah, the pads or tampons, and then um the risks with tampon and getting toxic shock syndrome.
Yeah, I remember that was a big deal in the 80s.
I only tried it a few times. We went swimming, was in high school, and I thought I did it right until I seen it floating away. I'm like, all right, uh-uh. And then I even tried, I don't know if they have something like this out still. I don't know what it was called, but it was like a rubber cup that you
Oh yeah.
insert there
Yeah, the
and it
Diva Cup.
yeah, and then it catches it and then when you take it out, of course you got to be over toiling. You like dump it. I did not like that because you really got to stick your hand up there.
Yeah, that was too invasive for me. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
Yeah. And I didn't want to do anything like an IUD or anything. And I got my tubes tied very young. I was like, so like 25. And, but I was done. And I even said to my doctor, I'm like, I don't want any more. They were both high risk. Why would I want to do that again? And he's like, I just got to make sure you have no regrets. And I could have did um a temporary one where they put a clamp on your tubes. And I'm like, okay, what are the odds? And he told me the odds. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I just have a feeling with my luck it's going to fail. I said, let's do the other one. What's that odds? And he said, 1 in 100,000. And I says, I better not be that one. And thankfully, didn't. But, and supposedly, doing that was supposed to give me, a lighter cycle. And yeah, it didn't. I swear I felt like I gutted a pig. That's how bad it was. Because, I mean, not that we need it, but they need to. I wore the thickest and heaviest pads, and I had to put one um in my butt crack because when I'd sit, I'd leak.
Well, now
Sitting
was
at
that like
work.
your perimenopause, or was that did that start early on for you? Was that like
No,
peri and
this was especially after tying the tubes. My cycle was so heavy that I
wow?
had to wear two two pads. Like I said, because when you sit, you know, the way we're made, and I was like, and I know they came out with like disposable underwear now for that because you could ruin a lot of pair of underwear. I know this is a lot of TMI, and I'm sorry, but this has to be discussed. But yeah, and I do know they do make a longer pad, but it did not reach all the way up to the butt. So if I had that issue, I'm sure others did.
Well, of course. And then and then a lot of women are saying too, because this is a medical thing. And I agree that we should not be paying what we're paying or what we were paying. Um, like it should be paid. And I think through some FSAs or HSAs, you are able to get feminine products now. But here's the thing, you're
Uh-huh.
still paying for it. I feel like you should be paying that much for it. You know what I mean? Um, anyway, that's just my personal opinion. I'm out of the game, so I'm okay with that. But just like you said, women go through so much, and yes, it's going to affect our temperament, our mood, and how we, deal with our relationships, personal and otherwise. It's inevitable, and we shouldn't be, and women should not be made to feel bad about it. Like poor Mel, I totally can relate to her. I feel so sad for her because she's at the same time that you're going through this change, your family is going through their own changes as well. And I just don't feel like, I feel like women need to be there to support each other a lot more because poor Mel, I just don't feel like she's got the support that she needs. through this whole thing, because you don't want to impose on anybody, make anybody feel bad. But I think she's really going through it. And I really did not appreciate her daughter being so vicious and cruel with her. And I was glad that her son tried to stick up for her and Coop,
Hmm.
like be nice to her, try to be kind to her. She's going through a lot. So yeah, I just feel like a lot of changes for women. And I think that's why it's so great too that we talked about the sleeping thing, because I think that's
Yes.
important for you and for your spouse to have that separation, give each other like that break, because there's a lot of changes going on.
Yeah, I need to sleep cold. I cannot sleep hot. And I love my cooling blanket and the 5 million fans that I own. Um,
Okay, name your fans, because that was the thing that we were going to talk about too. The
yes.
number of fans that we now own. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have, when I work, I have a neck fan. Actually, two. I use two neck fans. One is U-shaped around my neck, and the other one is like on a lanyard around my neck, and it's round and it is powerful. So that's what I use for work. Now, when I go to sleep, I have the ceiling fan and my Wuzu fan. And I was cleaning out the linen closet and I was like, oh yeah, my, let's see, what's it called? Prime valve fan. It's about, I think, a 12-inch blade. And it folds flat, but it pulls up on a pole. It has a remote. I gotta look for it. Gosh, only knows where it is. Um, but it also oscillates, and that I bring like when I can't pack it in a suitcase. I pack a small one on my carry-on, a very small one, because I need something blowing on me. It's the noise and to keep cool. Um, but yeah,
I
it's an
know we need the
awesome,
breeze.
yeah. I'll have to see if there's links still in my Amazon for these two fans. But then now we go to the living room when I'm watching TV. I have an oscillating fan on me, and then of course the ceiling fan above me. And then I have in the master, besides the ceiling fan, there's an oscillating fan, but that only gets run when I'm in there. Um, oh, when I'm getting ready in the bathroom, especially after taking a shower, it's so humid and hot in there. T installed a fan in the corner on the wall, and sometimes that doesn't, especially if I have to get ready with the door closed. So then I have to put like a 12-inch turbo fan blowing so I'm not sweating while getting ready. And then have another small 12-inch fan in the garage. That's probably like in a box. And then probably like a 14-inch oscillating one as a backup. That was my backup while the Wuzu was getting fixed. But didn't tell you about this. In the garage, we haven't used them yet, but we have two of the huge wind ones. Like, I would not bring them in the house. It would probably blow stuff over. So, yeah, a little obsessive with fans. Fans are my best friend.
Well, see, and I love the fact that you have a ceiling fan in your room, because that's what I'm telling you. When we lived in this townhouse years ago, there was a ceiling fan above my bed, and it was the best thing. Now, I still also had a fan, a standing fan too. And I almost feel like the older we get, as we progress through life, in this
Hmm.
later stage, like we have to live in like a wind tunnel. And I'm with you. I like the sound
Hmm.
as well.
Hmm.
And I kind of go, and I don't know if you're there yet, but I kind of go from cold and hot, cold and hot, cold and hot.
Yes.
And I've kind of adopted, like, I have two blankets. I have like a lighter blanket, almost like a throw, and then a sheet because sometimes I'm just so freaking hot. And I'm trying to keep the AC, at a decent temperature. It's anywhere between 72 to 71.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see how that goes now that we're going to be in for, like you said, like this, quote unquote heat wave.
Yes. Yes,
But I do
starting
feel like,
tomorrow,
yeah,
uh,
well,
noon.
maybe I'll go in the pool. I'll just have to take my lunch break and go jump in the pool over here.
Noon. It starts tomorrow and goes until Wednesday, maybe midnight.
Okay.
So the heat index is going to be over maybe about 100, 205.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. Yeah, well, like you said, and thank God we have, AC in our cars. I feel sorry
Hmm.
for people that don't have an AC in their car.
Yes.
Um,
Uh, and then, um, speaking of being hot, the last thing I want is a hot, sticky body on me. And I have to laugh where you said, no sex,
oh yeah.
none for you, none for me.
I go, I'm a nun. None
I'm
for
a
him, none
nun.
for me. Yeah,
Oh,
and we talked about that too, how we have absolutely no desire
mm-mm.
for men at all. Like
No.
none. And we
And
look back and we laugh at how we behaved when we were, full of estrogen. We're like, oh no, no more. Thank
yeah,
God.
and it's okay because with his medication, he's got a low testosterone, so it works out great.
It works out
Um,
perfect.
but oh, and then hearing, I don't know who it is changing it. They're not going to call it sexually transmitted diseases anymore. They're going to call it sexually transmitted infections. Now, that's not accurate because some of that stuff is not temporary. An infection's temporary. Disease isn't.
Right.
So they keep changing stuff. But I had said to him, well, I had said to T, I says, you know what? The thought of I got to be PG with this, but the thought of oral sex either way absolutely disgusts me.
I
And
know. Right.
and he's just like, "What? Really?" And I'm like, maybe one pee touch. But so now he's like, "Huh." He's like, and I'm like, "But what does it matter? We don't do anything. So what does it matter?" And he's like, I can't believe that disgusts you. And I go, well, I think I reverted back to my innocent ways before I was tainted.
Yes. Before we were taken under the spell of
Hmm.
estrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I'm really happy with this stage of my life. And I also want to say, I want to give a plug again to Deanna Hansen and blocking. I know Ginger's absolutely done with me talking about this, but I'm telling you,
oh,
I have been feeling so amazing.
I'm gonna try it.
Oh my gosh.
I got my vibration plate and it shook things that probably
Shook
haven't been
loose some
shaken in
cobwebs.
in a while. Like the AC/DC song, you shook me all night long because I was
Right.
afraid to go to sleep because I was afraid I jarred something loose or something in my brain. And I was only on it for 5 minutes.
Well, okay, that's good. That's a good starting point. And how
Yeah.
did you feel afterwards?
Weird, but I don't think my feet are swollen today like I felt like they were yesterday.
Yeah, it is supposed to be very good for lymph drainage, but
Yeah.
so's blocking. And when I say about blocking, like I haven't gotten the blocks yet. I'm still using my towel and my shoestrings for my from
Okay.
my toes.
I'll do
But
it.
it's
But we got
made
to
such.
wrap it up. I'll put
Okay,
it in
wrap
the
it up.
show notes again. But
Okay,
we're in the midst of switching platforms. Hopefully, there won't be a gap of not any episodes. The reason why we're doing it so we can put out more episodes.
so we can
So,
grow and grow and grow and be better and better and address all kinds of a variety of things like
yes,
lack of monotony.
yes, and hopefully, I mean, I think 40 minutes an episode or doing short episodes is good.
Is good. Yeah.
Because technically, other people who do podcasts and they have commercials, it's like 40.
True, true.
Yeah.
At least with us, you're not getting any of that. At least
Not
for
yet.
now. Not
Probably
yet.
will
All
in the
right.
future.
We'll go
But
ahead
all
and wrap
right.
it up.
All right. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
And behave.
Behave. We love
our scrappy peeps. So thank you all for joining us and becoming part of our flock. So please like, subscribe, and share. And if you don't like us, unfortunately, yo mama. But if you do like us, we look forward to seeing you next time on Two Scrappy Chicks.